Good evening. My name is Felicia Wheaton. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Belvidere in Marin County. The topic of my EMPA research study is City Manager tenure and education on succession planning efforts. It's a case study in California City Managers. Slide. The main research question that I asked is City Manager tenure length related to the implementation of succession planning. And two sub-questions of my study would include what are the other influences on the implementation of succession planning for the city manager position, and what are the workforce trends in local government. Slide. My hypothesis is if city managers in California with tenure of greater than 5 years are more likely to have implemented a succession plan than city managers who have less tenure. I've included a definition of succession planning, the process of identifying and preparing suitable employees through mentoring, training, and job promotion to replace important members of the organization. The reason for this hypothesis of city managers with greater than 5 years tenure is the first few years of tenure for city manager position are likely spent learning and shaping organizational culture, gaining an understanding of the community and the issues that it faces, developing relationships with key policy makers and stakeholders, and that longer tenure city managers can focus on long-term strategic planning efforts for organizations, such as implementation of succession planning. Next slide, please. The research study encompassed quite a body of literature, and in the interest of time, I'll just briefly touch on the general topics of my literature review. Included city manager tenure, of course, the importance of succession planning. Next slide, please. The barriers to succession planning, and the aging workforce, in other words, demographic trends in government. Next slide, please. The age bubble graph here was prepared by a researcher, Mary Young, for CPS Human Resources Group. It is from a study of hers entitled The Aging and Retiring Government Workforce. This graphic represents from the years 2000 to 2010 and shows that the current aging workforce of baby boomers, and whose population is about 80 million currently, and the population coming up behind them of the Gen Xers, whose population is about 30 million less, 50 million in the American workforce. Next slide, please. To collect primary data for my research, I emailed 455 California city managers a link to an electronic survey. I was very fortunate to have received over 200 responses to that survey, which is an approximate 45% response rate. I also interviewed a key professional expert, retired city manager, and leadership development consultant, Dr. Frank Benest. And I included as well some of my own observations as a participant in a succession plan. Slide, please. Some of my key findings included that the average age of current city managers in California is 54 years old. 66% of city managers have not implemented succession planning in their organizations. 82% of city managers with succession plans in place are 51 years or older. Next slide, please. 88% of the city managers surveyed ranked succession planning as very important or important. But of those city managers, only 36% have succession plans in place. The next few slides, I'll talk about some conclusions that I was able to make from the data collection. Here we have 118 city managers with less than 5 years tenure. 71% of those do not have succession plans. And 88 city managers with greater than 5 years tenure, 54% of them do not have succession plans. So the populations that do have succession plans, you'll notice about a 10% increase in city managers who have greater than 5 years tenure that have succession plans in place. So based on these results, I can say that the survey data does support the hypothesis that city managers with greater than 5 years tenure would have implemented succession plans. However, there certainly are other factors at play. Next slide, please. This slide talks a little bit about city managers who are about to retire. They are about to retire in less than 5 years. 58% of them don't have succession plans, 42% of them do. The percentages are a little bit greater, or a little bit less rather, than if they're retiring in a longer period of time, that they would not have a succession plan in place, 52%. But this doesn't really speak to why those city managers don't have succession plans in place. Next slide, please. So we asked an open text question. What are the reasons that you don't have a succession plan? You'll find from here that the answers range from I'm too busy with other responsibilities, I have bench staff that are not motivated to take on a top leadership position, we don't have money in the budget for training or education, 30% said I don't intend to leave the organization in the short term, and 45% said, well, actually there are other reasons we don't have succession plans in place. So what are those other reasons? 27% said the organization is too small. They don't have enough staff, not enough bench staff available in the organization to implement succession planning. 22% said, well, I'm new to the organization, so I haven't really had time to implement succession planning. That's actually consistent with my original hypothesis. The good news from the open text survey is that actually some 27% of city managers said they do have a succession plan in place. It's just an informal succession plan. They're not actually calling this a succession plan, but they have passed on some information to their bench staff about how to lead the organization in their absence, how to take on a leadership role, and have actually identified people to take their place. So that is good news. Next slide, please. The last data point that I'll bring to your attention is that of the 67 city managers with the succession plan in place, 70% of them had been part of a succession plan in their own career in the past. So I found that this was a significant piece of information that showed that people who had been part of the mentoring program in the past were more apt to implement the mentoring program for their own staff.
I'm sorry, Felicia, that slide did not come out.
Oh. The M67 did.
I'm not sure what happened.
That's right. So there's a big pie here, and 70%.
This goes everything.
Yeah, 70% had been a part of the succession planning program in the past.
Was it an animation on that?
No, just a pie.
Sorry.
Pie chart. I think it showed up in the printout.
Yeah, it showed up a moment.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay, are you done with that? Okay.
Yes, thanks. Conclusion slide is city managers do recognize the importance of succession planning, and my survey did show 80% thought yes, this is an important topic. Another conclusion is that tenure is not the only contributing factor to the implementation of succession planning. There are other factors at play: size of the organization, budget dollars, motivation of the city manager. City managers actually have quite a bit of autonomy in what importance they place on certain programs in their own organization. They may say that they think succession planning is important, but if they're new to the organization or they have other priorities, they may not have implemented succession planning yet. Mentoring begets mentoring, which is what I've just spoken about. Another conclusion that I came upon with regards to this research is that the baby boomer generation, which makes up the number of city managers today, are really poised now to pass the baton on to the next generation of leaders. And finally, the city manager's comments indicate that informal succession plans are in place but aren't quantified in my data analysis. Next slide, please. My recommendations would be to submit the research to the California City's City Manager Department Conference in 2013. I'd like to see a session proposal prepared from this research to be able to share the research, educating city managers about the Cal ICMA coaching program, which is actually a free coaching program available to ICMA members. I'd like to encourage, as part of this session program, I encourage city managers to prepare and present workforce analysis to city councils so that they understand the age bubble that I described. And lastly, as a future city manager, it is my intention to prepare my own organization for the next generation of leaders by adapting learning culture and work-life balance values. And I'd like to end with a quote, that government leaders who are stewards of the public trust provide a great gift when they think beyond their tenure and leave their organizations ready to face the future. I think that they do that with training and mentoring and probably the next generation of leaders. Thank you.